we locked in former title challenger Anthony Smith.
Anthony Smith was once the heart of the UFC light heavyweight division. Known as a Lionheart, he went 5 full rounds with John Jones, absorbed an illegal knee to the head, and still refused to quit.
Oh, the Dopkic in trouble! Anthony Lionheart Smith with a huge win tonight!
The same man who woke up at 4 a.m., discovered an intruder inside his Nebraska home, and defended his family with nothing but his bare hands. For 17 years, he embodied the spirit of a true warrior.
His home was actually the second one the intruder got into in the neighborhood.
I ran into a dark room with a screaming psychopath at 4 in the morning.
The intruder was coming towards him in his house. He took him down.
Then, on July 26, 2026, just one day after his 38th birthday, Anthony Smith was arrested on 3 felony charges. The details that have emerged since are deeply disturbing. Here's what happened.
Anthony Lionheart Smith is now facing serious felony charges.
The arrest involved 3 felony charges. Smith was booked into Sarpy County Jail in Nebraska on Monday at 8:44 p.m. He was charged with terroristic threats, first-degree false imprisonment, and domestic violence resulting in serious bodily injury. As news of the arrest spread, the MMA world was left stunned. The charges sounded more like the plot of a true crime documentary than the headline about a former UFC title challenger.
Turned himself in last night. He's booked for terroristic threats and first-degree false imprisonment.
Terroristic threats, first-degree false imprisonment, domestic violence resulting in serious bodily injury. 3 felony charges, all at once. The potential consequences are severe. The domestic violence charge is a Class IA felony, carrying a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. The terroristic threats and false imprisonment charges are both Class IA felonies, each punishable by up to 3 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, and 18 months of post-release supervision. If convicted on all charges, Smith could face more than 20 years behind bars. For a man who had just celebrated his 38th birthday, the stakes could hardly be higher. As serious as the charges were, the court hearing that followed on Wednesday revealed allegations that made the situation even more disturbing. According to prosecutors, the incident began Sunday night after Smith was removed from a concert during Gretna Days. In an altercation, what started at a crowded public event, surrounded by witnesses, allegedly escalated into a series of events that ultimately ended with Anthony Smith being arrested on 3 felony charges. And according to prosecutors, that was only the beginning. The Sarpy County Attorney's Office released a formal statement outlining the alleged sequence of events. According to the statement, on July 26, 2026, Smith became involved in an altercation with his wife at a bar in Gretna, Nebraska. Prosecutors allege that he threatened to kill her if she refused to get into his vehicle and return home with him. Those are the allegations presented by prosecutors, not simply a heated argument, but an alleged death threat. Authorities further claim that Smith grabbed and pushed his wife into the vehicle. During the drive, she reportedly managed to escape, but prosecutors allege that Smith continued threatening her and demanded that she get back inside.
That is somehow even more disturbing because of how matter-of-fact it reads.
To prosecutors, this was not an isolated moment that ended within seconds. They describe it as a prolonged series of alleged events that became increasingly serious as the night unfolded. The allegations state that after arriving home, the situation escalated even further. Prosecutors claim Smith forced his wife back into the vehicle and then attempted multiple times to strike her with the car after she had escaped during the drive. Authorities say Smith's wife was ultimately able to avoid physical injury, and Smith later surrendered to law enforcement without incident after an arrest warrant was issued. According to investigators, she escaped because she was able to get out of the vehicle's path. Prosecutors allege that the incident continued in the driveway of their Nebraska home, where the situation became even more alarming. The events did not end there. After witnesses helped Smith's wife and their children leave the home and reach safety, prosecutors say Smith went back inside the house. A short time later, witnesses reported hearing gunshots coming from inside the residence.
She did ultimately exit the car at one point. He threatened to kill her again if she did not get in the car.
Prosecutors also told the court that Smith allegedly stated he would kill himself if law enforcement entered the house.
This heard gunshots coming from the home.
Gunshots were reportedly heard from inside the house. At that point, neighbors were helping evacuate the children to safety. prosecutors alleged that Smith's wife had just escaped multiple attempts to be struck by a vehicle, while Smith remained inside the home with a firearm and allegedly threatened to take his own life if police entered. That is the public account of what prosecutors say happened on the night of July the 26th. 2026. An arrest warrant was issued on July 27, and Smith surrendered to law enforcement without incident. He was later released on a $500,000 bond after posting 10% of the amount. As part of his bond conditions, Smith was ordered to have no contact with his wife and was prohibited from leaving the state of Nebraska without permission from the court. His defense team informed the judge that, following his release, he would stay with a family friend in Nebraska City. His next court appearance is scheduled for August 17 in Sarpy County District Court. It marks a dramatic fall from grace. To understand why this story has shocked the MMA community, you have to understand who Anthony Smith was to the sport. Lionheart was more than just a nickname, it defined his reputation for nearly 2 decades. Smith made his professional MMA debut on February 29, 2008, defeating Dave Moran by second-round submission. He worked his way through the regional circuit, competed in Strikeforce, endured an unsuccessful first stint in the UFC, rebuilt his career in Bellator, and eventually earned another opportunity in the UFC. His greatest achievement came in 2019 when he challenged John Jones for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. Along the way, he earned notable victories over Rashad Evans, Mauricio Shogun Rua, Volkan Oezdemir, and Alexander Gustafsson. Despite countless setbacks, Smith built an impressive professional record of 39 wins and 22 losses across more than 60 professional fights spanning nearly 2 decades. That long career came at a tremendous physical cost. Broken bones, concussions, and countless brutal battles left visible damage, none more memorable than his 2020 fight against Glover Teixeira. According to ESPN, Smith suffered a broken nose, a broken orbital bone, a deep cut beneath his right eye, and lost 2 teeth during the fight. In one unforgettable moment, while Teixeira continued landing punches, Smith picked up his own teeth from the canvas and handed them to the referee before continuing to fight. His corner allowed the contest to continue into the 5th round, and Smith absorbed an extraordinary amount of punishment. Few fighters can endure that level of damage over such a long career, and Smith spent nearly 20 years taking some of the hardest shots imaginable. The bruises eventually healed, but the long-term effects of those years inside the cage remain impossible to measure. Last year, Smith closed the final chapter of his UFC career in the co-main event of UFC Kansas City.
But he had made the statement that he would kill himself if law enforcement came inside.
Smith's UFC career came to a difficult end, as he suffered a bloody TKO defeat to Mingyang Jong in his final appearance. Although he retired from the UFC in 2025, he never truly stepped away from combat sports. Instead, he signed with Jorge Masvidal's bare-knuckle MMA promotion as a heavyweight. In his promotional debut, Smith defeated Chase Sherman by submission, earning a place in the semifinals of the promotion's $500,000 tournament. Even in April 2026, just 3 months before his arrest, Smith was still competing in bare-knuckle MMA, continuing to put his body through the punishment that had defined his entire career. Outside the cage, he had also built a successful career as an MMA analyst, appearing regularly on UFC broadcasts for Paramount and CBS Sports. He had become a familiar face behind the analyst desk and remained a respected voice in the sport. His next court appearance is scheduled for August 17th. If he is ultimately convicted, his broadcasting career could come to an abrupt end. His public image would be severely damaged, and his legacy inside the sport would become far more complicated. Perhaps the most tragic part of this story is the contrast with the man many fans believed Anthony Smith to be. In April 2020, an intruder broke into Smith's Nebraska home at around 4 a.m. During an interview with Ariel Helwani, Smith recalled fighting the intruder for more than 5 minutes until police arrived. He woke up to find a stranger inside the house he shared with his wife, his mother-in-law, and his 3 daughters. Alone and unarmed, he fought to protect his family. Reflecting on that terrifying night, Smith said, "I'm not lying when I say it was one of the toughest fights I've ever had in my life." Today, prosecutors allege that the same man who once risked everything to protect his family instead used a vehicle as a weapon against his own wife. Those allegations remain before the court, and Smith is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty.
Deserve every second of this, man, and enjoy the retirement with your beautiful...
The contrast is devastating. John Jones weighed in, and then John Jones opened his mouth, because, of course, he did. When asked directly about the situation involving his former opponent, Jones responded, "I hope he prays. I know there's no problem too big for Jesus. He can literally change any situation." Okay, John. That's some real pastoral energy coming from a man with his own long history of legal troubles, but Jones wasn't finished. Earlier that Wednesday, he also posted, "Your boy over here looking more and more like Gandhi these days." Smith wasn't mentioned by name, but there was only one major story dominating the MMA world at that moment. Everyone knew exactly who he was referring to. The audacity is unbelievable. The Jon Jones, a man who has been arrested multiple times. A man who faced charges of battery, domestic violence, and tampering with a vehicle after causing damage. Jon Jones, whose wife reportedly suffered a broken nose during an incident in a Las Vegas hotel while their children called the police, and yet, Jon Jones chose that moment to present himself as the spiritually enlightened, Gandhi-like voice of wisdom.
Forward elbow, made Chase Sherman turn his back. This is it.
He got it. He tapped.
And it's over.
Same man who, years earlier, reacted to Smith's home invasion by posting on social media, "Glad Anthony is okay. No way dude would have left my house walking." And now he's offering prayers. Now he's the reformed man standing on the moral high ground. The irony couldn't be greater. Years ago, it was Anthony Smith who showed restraint when talking about Jones' legal problems. Smith said, "For the longest time, I've tiptoed around Jon Jones' issues because I haven't been perfect either. I can't criticize Jon for making mistakes when I've made plenty of my own in the past. But I've worked hard to correct the things I did a long time ago." Those words would prove unforgettable. UFC 235 and the illegal knee. You can't tell Anthony Smith's story without revisiting his title fight against Jon Jones, because that fight revealed everything about Smith's character, and perhaps everything he was willing to sacrifice for the sport. Smith challenged Jon Jones for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship at UFC 235 on March 2, 2019. He lost the fight by unanimous decision.
Her into the car by force to get her there. She did ultimately exit the car at one point. He threatened to kill her again if she did not get in the car.
But what happened inside that fight was far more complicated than the final result suggests. Music, that was the fight where Jon Jones landed an illegal knee to Anthony Smith's head. Instead of taking the disqualification victory, Smith chose to continue fighting.
Domestic violence arrest of MMA fighter Jon Jones. Jones was arrested in Las Vegas Friday morning.
A disqualification win would have made Anthony Smith the UFC light heavyweight champion and secured him a highly lucrative rematch, but Smith refused to take that path. He turned down a championship belt. He turned down the guaranteed millions that would have come with a rematch because he believed it wasn't the right way to become champion. He wanted to earn the title the right way. Then came another painful blow after the fight. Smith responded to Jones' admission that he lacked motivation for their title bout, saying, "Look, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. It hurt my feelings when he said that, but I don't think he was wrong." So, not only did Smith spend 25 grueling minutes inside the cage against arguably the greatest light heavyweight of all time in music, he absorbed relentless punishment, suffered an illegal knee to the head, and walked away from a championship because of his integrity. Then he had to hear his opponent describe the fight as little more than an afterthought. The physical and mental toll of that 5-round title fight has to be considered when looking at everything that followed. The Poirier parallel reveals a disturbing pattern. Smith's arrest did not happen in isolation. It's impossible to ignore the timing because only weeks earlier, the MMA world was already discussing Dustin Poirier. Former UFC interim lightweight champion Dustin Poirier was arrested on Father's Day, June 21, 2026, in Georgia on a charge of public intoxication. The 37-year-old, who retired in July 2025, was booked at 6:38 p.m. According to reports, Atlanta police arrested Poirier after he became combative when he was denied boarding on a Delta flight. Body camera footage reportedly showed the former fighter shouting profanities at airline employees and directly challenging a police officer, saying, "I'll fight you right now."
For the winner by unanimous decision, Jon Bones!
After the video became public, Poirier posted on Instagram, "I'm at the point where I need some help. Walking away from fighting hasn't been easy for me, and alcohol isn't the answer." Now, the Poirier situation and the Smith situation are not equivalent. Not even close. Point 1 involves a misdemeanor public intoxication charge. The other involves 3 felony charges, including an alleged attempted domestic assault, but the pattern is impossible to ignore. 2 men who spent their entire careers being viewed as examples of character, discipline, and redemption. 2 men who retired and then struggled publicly in front of the entire world. Poirier had openly discussed how difficult retirement was after spending nearly 2 decades building his entire life around training, competition, and the pursuit of becoming a champion.
Jones not slowing down. Oh, that was illegal. That was definitely illegal.
Identity crisis, the loss of purpose, the loss of structure, the loss of the one thing that defined you. This is what retirement from combat sports looks like for some fighters, and it raises an important question. How much of what we are seeing is simply the person, and how much of it is the result of decades of accumulated damage? The CTE question here is the conversation that many people in MMA do not want to have, but one that needs to happen. More than 60 professional fights. 17 years of training camp damage that never appears on official records and is never counted. A fighting style that was never built around avoiding punishment. The broken orbital bone, the 2 knocked out teeth that were handed to the referee during the 5th round, the broken nose, the illegal knee from Jones that everyone inside the arena heard connect. The bare-knuckle heavyweight fight in April 2026, just 3 months before the arrest. The cumulative picture is deeply concerning. The behaviors described during the July 26 incident, including explosive anger, irrational escalation, threats of self-harm, firing a weapon inside a home, and allegedly attempting to run someone over with a vehicle, are not the actions of someone simply having a bad night. These are behaviors that can be associated with severe neurological problems. Nobody can say with certainty what role CTE may have played in what allegedly happened, and nobody can excuse alleged actions because someone has taken too many punches.
I'll fight you right now.
No, I don't want to fight, bro.
I'll go with you right now.
Bro, I don't want to fight.
The question of what fighting does to the brain, what 17 years and more than 60 professional fights can do to a person's ability to regulate emotions, control impulses, and make rational decisions, cannot be ignored simply because the answer is uncomfortable. Smith himself once said, when asked if he was truly at peace with retirement, "I had my chances so many times and always came up short." Maybe the peace was never really there. Maybe it was always held together by the structure of training, by the purpose of the next fight, by the identity of being a fighter. And when his final fight ended in Kansas City with a TKO loss to Mingyang Jin, something may have changed. Something came undone that the people around him failed to recognize in time. What happens next? The next scheduled hearing is August 17th in Sarpy County District Court. The arrest affidavit remains sealed, meaning the public record has been limited to the criminal complaint, the bond order, and the prosecutor's statement from the initial court appearance. There will be more information there. Will be more developments in this story. What is already becoming clear is that Smith's analyst career is almost certainly over. His work with Paramount, his pre-fight breakdowns, and his post-fight analysis opportunities are now in serious jeopardy. If he is convicted, Smith's chances of returning to broadcasting appear extremely unlikely. The same applies to the bare-knuckle tournament he was participating in. That path also appears to be closed.
I'm good. Some days I'm great. Some days I'm not so good. You know, it's up and down, honestly. You know, fighting has changed me forever.
The Sarpy County Attorney's Office stated that because the case is pending trial, they will not provide any additional comments regarding the allegations. Anthony Smith is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That principle matters, the legal process matters, but the facts currently available to the public, including the prosecutor's statement, the bond conditions, and the sealed affidavit, which reportedly contained enough information to justify a $500,000 bond, paint a picture that will be extremely difficult to reverse. The man they called Lionheart, the man who once said he was willing to die protecting his family from a home intruder, that same man now faces the possibility of spending decades behind bars for allegedly terrorizing the very family he once vowed to protect. And that is where the story of Anthony Smith stands today, not inside a training camp, not behind an analyst's desk, not inside the octagon, but in a Nebraska courtroom.
Firm's former Anthony Smith arrested on domestic violence charges.